Well, thanks for everyone for joining. I'm going to get started in about 30 seconds or maybe 10 seconds. Who knows? All right. You know what? Let's get started. It's Friday. Hi, my name is Matt Barrow, solution architect here at Megaport. I am up in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm going to be going over similarities, differences over how to connect to the different cloud service providers. So that's the topic of the day. So I'm gonna get into our presentation. I'm gonna be going over the four big cloud service providers: AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle. And the reason why I'm bringing up this slide is all the cloud service providers, as they've done, have built their own engine and built their own system. And in some areas they agreed, in many areas they didn't. But at the end of the day, there's all these different product attributes, and it goes on, right? And this is just for their private connection pieces, right? They're different names, different speeds, different, where do you start from a provisioning perspective, etc. So that sort of started our business in trying to put simplicity back into connecting to these cloud service providers and a single point pane of glass and make it fast and easy. So that's really where we started, over 10 years ago, because, honestly, this is complicated, right? If you want to know all the differences. But like I said, the cool thing, once you take this data and sort of generalize it, there's not a ton of differences. And then we add that to the GUI, which I'm going to go over, and how we consume that. And we just make it simple, right? So here's a blog written by yours truly, just posted today. If you want to fall asleep quickly this afternoon or evening, read it. I'm just kidding. It's high level. It should be a quick read. But if you don't want to read, I'll give you the summary of it. So here are the main differences that I'm going to go over today. Where do I provision? And that's really the focus of this presentation or demo, is where do I provision a private cloud connection? And they're sort of different, right? Except again, there's commonalities. Azure, GCP, OCI, you start in their portal, and I'll show you that, right? And I'm going to show you how you do it in GCP. You create the key and you import it in the Megaport portal. That's one. So, general grouping. AWS, you start in our portal, get the AWS key, and we land a direct connect in the AWS portal under that account, right? So again, general differences, but we understand the workflow. How much bandwidth? AWS, Azure, and GCP have speeds under 1 gig. Most of them, all of them, have speeds between 1 and 10. Anything over 10, it's AWS and GCP. Others will follow, but that's just the rules. And there's different speed tiers. Again, the speed tiers are controlled by the cloud service providers. We live by their rules, but general categorization is this. Can I change my speed? GCP, OCI, you can go up and down, right? You got this key, you can go up and down. We can change it in the portal. I'm not going to go over that today, but it works. Azure, only up. If you have to go down, you take it out. You create a new one and take out the old one, right? To deplete it. AWS, it's that last process with Azure. If you change a speed in AWS, you have to create a new speed, deplete the old speed. It's just that simple. Diversity is a little different with most of them. Azure being the outlier. Azure, when you get a key, you get 2 circuits on the express route. Everyone else's keys are single, right? So Azure by default is saying, with this one key, you get 2 circuits to get their SLA, where AWS, GCP, and OCI are like, we recommend high availability, but they don't make you consume it in that manner. And even with Azure, you don't need to use that second key, but at the end of the day, you're getting And with one service key, you're getting 2 circuits. I'll go over what that looks like. Not going to go over MACsec. That's another nuance in the world of dedicated. We're not looking at dedicated services in this demo. We're looking at the partner interconnects. And the other big debate is, or question I get is, where do I connect to the cloud service provider? Generally speaking, you connect, if you have a MCR or a port, something from a Megaport perspective, you're connecting locally to that, as close to that on-ramp. Once you hit the cloud's network, that on-ramp, you can go to any of the cloud workloads across regions. So the big decision you're making is, what backbone do you want to go on? Do you want to go on the Megaport backbone, or do you want to go on the cloud backbone? We can support either. We generally, at least for one connection, if you have a primary and backup, typically we're trying to drop you to the closest to the cloud and let it ride their backbone. In the case where you need a backup connection, we can ride that to another location across the country or across the globe. There are some caveats to that with OCI and Azure. OCI, your compute, that's where you have to connect. So if my OCI instance is in San Jose, I have to connect to the OCI on-ramp or the San Jose on-ramp, period. That's the reality. Azure GovCloud, same thing. Azure GovCloud, if you're in GovCloud Phoenix, you're connecting to GovCloud Phoenix. So just some nuances there, and Azure does have some other things, like they have local would mean that you have to be in that same region. Again, some nuances. All I'm recommending here is, this could be a long book over here. Reach out to your Megaport Cloud sales team, and we'll walk you through all these nuances. But again, don't let it get too scary, because there are some commonalities. So let's get into the portal. I'm going to go create an MCR because I have to go. What I'm going to show you now is how to connect to GCP. I'm going to create interconnect in GCP. I already have a Express route created in Azure. I've already created a direct fast connect in Oracle, and we are going to go see how to land a direct connect with AWS. So the first place you start is, we're going to go create that MCR. I'm going to pick Seattle. You can either pick auto, which is, we're going to deliver the most available red or blue device I have, or you can say, I want a blue or a red. All that really means is you're getting device diversity and maintenance window diversity on the Megaport network. I'm going to choose evocative red because that's where I want to start. I'm going to choose a 1 gig MCR, MB test, always have good naming conventions. I'm going to go month to month. And there's this AS number. That is our default private AS number. You can overwrite it or you can keep it. It's up to you. Once you create the MCR, the AS is set in that. So if you needed to change the AS, you'd have to create a new MCR. We have ways to migrate services, so it's not a huge issue, or move services. But that's really, this is the steps of creating an MCR. So I'm actually going to also add the AWS connection too. So I'm going to go AWS, since there's more steps, I'm going to go start that. So here's the hosted connection. That's their go forward product. I'm going to pick USA. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom of the list. And remember, I bought a red one. I want a red. Typically, I like connecting red devices to red devices. In all markets, I have a on-ramp, a red and blue on-ramp. So I like going red to red, blue to blue. And it just means that, they're on different devices, but more importantly, both those devices are in the same maintenance window. So I'm going to go pick the speed. And here's where it starts. I'm not going to fill this in. We're going to fill that in later if we have time. And what you're doing is you're coming over to AWS and grabbing this account key. So I go here, grab it. I've done it so many times that it's right there. I hit next, add DXC. I'm gonna order. And I'm gonna order now, because this is your time to say, do I really want this? Because you are committing to, hundreds or thousands of dollars of services from Megaport. So I'm ordering the services. The good thing, this is a demo account, so I'm not my credit card's not being billed, which is a good thing. So here we are, we got that running. The next step is we have to start adding these connections. I'm gonna go build that GCP connection. Where you find GCP VLAN attachments is it's under network connectivity, interconnect, and it brings you to this page, right? So the first thing you're creating is a VLAN attachment. This page looks a lot like the Azure page a little bit, where it gives you different types of HA connections. We're just going to pick a partner interconnect, and we're going to go unencrypted. I already have a service provider. That would be me. I'm going to go hit default network region. I'm going to go Oregon. Sorry, I'm a duck. You can't say Oregon. It's Oregon, and it's the Willamette. Just call it a name. MB, there we go. Don't need to give it single stack. I'm just going to do a single. If you just do a single, it's going to say, really, you want to have two because of the SLA. Again, I'm not building HA network here, but, again, GCP and Azure look a little bit of the same because they try to want to encourage you to do two connections. So we're going to go create that. I got to fill in the MTU. I'm going to do 1500 and create it. So what's going to happen, we're going to get that pairing key at some point. And there it is, that fast. So I'm going to go grab it. And now it's just adding those pairing keys. Other thing we're waiting for, oh, great. So that AWS connection is up. The reason why I want to do that is I have to go into the AWS connection. See, it's here. I put in that account number. It landed under connections. I need to go accept it. Yes. And then I also have to create, so once that gets out of pending state, I can go create the virtual interface. So again, there's timing involved with AWS. I'm just going to go ahead and start working on GCP. Put that key in there. I'm going to go find Seattle red. No, my coffee hasn't settled in. I'm just going to go grab the Seattle blue. Next. I'm going to call that a name, MB test. Helps to spell map. Rate limit, I'm going to pick the small guy. You'll see a little difference on the Azure because Azure brings this information over, meaning the location and the speed. I'm going to add that VXC and order. While that's churning, I'm going to go grab that. I'm going to go grab that key on Azure and run with it. And then we're going to go add Azure. And while we're at it, we're probably just going to add Azure and Oracle. So here's Azure, same thing, paste the key. It's going to give you those two. So in that one express route, it's going to say you have two of them. I'm going to hit the primary one. Hit next. No minimum term. MB test. Rate limit. And I'm going to go ahead next. And next. And while we're at it, I'm going to add that VXC. I'm going to actually throw both of these in the order form. So I'm going to show, copy, and I'm going to go add that OCI connection, cloud, OCI. Again, look, it's another key. This one says, hey, look, you have two choices. I'm in San Jose, so you're going to pick it in San Jose. MB test. Rate limit. The max, you can buy something less, but you're paying for 1 gig. So you set that in the Oracle OCI platform. So you might as well grab all 1 gig. Hit next. I'm going to fill that in later because I have that information over on the OCI portal. I'm going to order those two. What I'm going to go do is see now it's available. So once it hits this available status, again, there's more processes or stuff to do on the AWS side. I'm going to go create the virtual circuit. I'm going to go give it a name, MB test. I'm going to connect it to my direct connect gateway, which is, there it is. And I'm going to put that AS number, and that is the AS number of the MCR or your on-prem, depending on on-prem or whatever router you're connecting to, right? I'm going to go create that virtual interface. And what happens is that gives us all these IP address, which is we're going to have to go add those into the portal. So I'm going to go grab this first IP address because I'm going to need that. Copy. And I'm going to go back into the portal. And I should have hit order now. So now that we're going to get those Azure and OCI connections off and running, okay, those went off and deployed, which is great. I'm going to go into the AWS side. And all we have to do is fill in this information. So I have to go fill in this IP address, the information that came over from AWS. So I'm going to go paste that in, add BGP. And that's going to say that's that IP address. And I got to add 3 more fields. So I got to go grab this other IP address, which is the Amazon side. I'm grabbing the whole thing. I don't need it all. I got to go dump the cider block. So I'm going to dump that. Don't need it. I need the AS number, which nicely Amazon gives us. I got to paste that in. Same thing with the BGP password. So go grab that, copy, paste, add, save. Save is always, it's not only add, you got to save. And then I also like hitting next just to get off that screen. Next. Next. Okay. Just to make sure I got that working. So let's go back to the services page. Things are cooking. We're 18 minutes into this. You know what? One thing we have to do, we do have it, even though this is in green status, we have to go do something. How do you know that? I'm going to go look at, I've done this before. BGP is not up. Why? It's broken. It's not broken. So I'm going to go back over here. And there's going to see, you have to activate it. So there's a last step with GCP. You have to go in and activate it. And you accept it. That's the last step with GCP. And in theory, if the networking gods are happy, BGP will go enabled. So let's go see how things are cooking. I still have to do similar things in OCI that I did with AWS. So let's refresh the page. I think Azure might be happy. Let's go look. Azure's up. So that's you set it up, put in the key, Azure's up. So that typically, the good thing about Azure, it sets up pretty quickly on the MCR. Taking it down takes longer time just because of their process. I still have to come up with this information. So what I have to do with OCI is I still have to go back and fill in that information, which good thing I've already done that information. So I've got BGP information here. You can set this. I set this when I created it. So I'm going to go copy that. I'm going to go paste it. Oh, it has to come up. It hasn't finished provisioning yet. So we just have to be patient, which is, sometimes tough for me. So you have to be patient and wait until that is in deployed status, and then we're probably good to go. Let's go, well, not good to go, but we're in a state where I have to go add those IP addresses. So I'm going to go look at the details on, oh, that's that GCP. Yeah, GCP's up, which is cool. AWS probably is taking some time. I was doing this last night. Yeah, it just takes some time. And Azure is up and happy. So right now we're just in a waiting game. We're in a waiting game for AWS to pick up BGP, and we're in a waiting game for Oracle to accept to come up for the first time. That's really it. That's 21 minutes of, we're probably another minute or two. We're not gonna, we don't have to sit around and wait for BGP to come up. But I wanted to give you an idea of just how, even though there's all these differences, if you summarize it, there's only 6 or 7 or 8 big differences, and then there's commonalities between them all. And the cool thing that we've done is we've been able to take all those differences and give you one portal so you can consume all 4, or heck, if you go look at all the ones we work, all of these in one common interface. So that's all I have. We're 22 minutes into the session. Looks like there's no questions. I'm gonna be kind, give everyone 8 minutes of their day back. I can't thank you enough for coming on board. Oh, by the way, it looks like now that we're here, it's ready. What I got to go do is go grab that. Sorry, you got to be with me for a little bit longer because I'm just gonna go do it. Why not? I'm gonna go grab those IP addresses because it finally came up from OCI, just to show you how we would have to do. Again, it's the same process where we've done with AWS. Paste. I got to go find that peer, which is over here. Paste. Oh, got to dump that cider. Add. Save. It's always also good to get off the page. So next. And then you're done. So, fundamentally in 20+ minutes, we have 4 CSP connections up and running with BGP established or establishing. So now I'm going to give you 6 minutes of your life back, and hope you have a great weekend, and we'll be chatting soon. Thanks for joining. Take care.